in a world filled with noise and distractions. But how does ignoring people fit into the Stoic picture? It's not about being rude or indifferent, but about selective attention. In the realm of Stoicism, ignoring is not a disregard for others or an act of dismissal. Instead, it is a strategic tool, an act of selective attention that allows one to maintain their inner peace and focus on what truly matters. It is a practice that shields the mind from unnecessary distractions and disruptions, making room for more meaningful thoughts and actions. You see, Stoicism teaches us that our thoughts and emotions are within our control. However, this control can be easily compromised when we allow external influences, such as the opinions and actions of others, to infiltrate our mental space. This is where the practice of ignoring comes into play. By consciously choosing to ignore certain people or situations, we are essentially setting boundaries for our mental well-being. Now you might be wondering, isn't ignoring people simply an act of indifference or even disrespect? Well, not quite. From a Stoic viewpoint, ignoring is not an act of disregard, but of discernment. It is a deliberate choice to focus on what is within our control and dismiss what isn't. It is about prioritizing our mental health, our peace, our focus over the incessant noise of the world. The Stoic practice of ignoring is not about turning a blind eye to the world around us. It's not about shutting ourselves off from society. Rather, it's about discerning between what deserves our attention and what doesn't. It's about understanding that not every action requires a reaction, not every opinion warrants our attention, and not every situation deserves our energy. In essence, the Stoic practice of ignoring is about cultivating a strong mental fortress. It's about practicing resilience in the face of adversity. It's about choosing peace over chaos, focus over distraction, and what truly matters over what doesn't. Ignoring in this context is not a sign of disrespect, but a strategy for self-preservation and focus. This is the essence of Stoic practice. It's not about shutting out the world, but about selectively choosing what we let in. It's about maintaining our inner peace amidst the external chaos and focusing on what truly matters to us. So, what can be the benefits of this Stoic practice of selective ignoring? The benefits are manifold. First off, we must recognize that the world is a whirlwind of stimuli, a cacophony of noise, images, and emotions. It can be overwhelming, draining, and distracting. By selectively choosing what to ignore, we can maintain our inner peace. We can shield ourselves from the chaos, tuning out the noise that does not serve us. This doesn't mean we become oblivious to the world around us, but rather we become more aware of our own mental space and choose not to clutter it with unnecessary information. Secondly, ignoring allows us to focus on what truly matters. This is where the Stoic principle of dichotomy of control comes into play. Stoics believe that we should focus our energy only on things we can control. Anything beyond our control should be acknowledged, but not stressed over. By ignoring what we can't control, we free up mental space and energy to focus on what we can change, what we can improve, and where we can make a difference. A simple example of this could be ignoring the negative comments on your social media posts. You can't control what others think or say, but you can control how you react to them.
It influences our judgment of someone's character. Picture this. It's 1971, Stanford University. Psychologist Philip Zimbardo conducts a groundbreaking experiment, one that would forever change our understanding of good and evil. The Stanford Prison Experiment, as it came to be known, was designed to explore the psychological effects of perceived power and the interactions between prison guards and prisoners in a simulated jail environment. Now, the participants were ordinary people, just like you and me, with no criminal history or psychological issues. Yet, within days, the guards began to display sadistic tendencies, while the prisoners exhibited signs of severe stress and depression. Why? Because the context in which they found themselves started to dictate their behavior, not their inherent nature. This isn't to say that we're all potential tyrants or victims, but it does suggest that even the most virtuous among us can act in harmful ways under certain circumstances. This experiment revealed the profound impact of context on human behavior, showing us that good and bad are not absolutes, but can shift and change based on the situation at hand. Think about it. How many times have we passed judgment on someone based on a single action without considering the circumstances that led to it? How many times have we labeled someone as bad without understanding the pressures they were under or the context in which they acted? The Stanford Prison Experiment illuminates the complexity of human nature, reminding us that good and evil are not black and white concepts, but shades of grey that can be influenced by the environment. It shows that context matters, that it can shape our behavior in ways we might not even be aware of. So the next time you find yourself quick to judge, remember the Stanford Prison Experiment. Remember that the line between good and bad can blur under certain conditions. This reminds us that our judgment of others should consider not just their actions, but also the context in which they occur.
Let's delve into this further. Have you ever found yourself going out of your way, sacrificing your own needs, all in the name of being kind to others? Well, you're not alone. This is a common trait among overly kind individuals. In the grand scheme of life, it's easy to get caught up in the needs and wants of others, often to the detriment of our own. But what happens when this kindness, this self-sacrifice, becomes a pattern? It leads to resentment. This is because the more we give, the more we tend to expect in return. And when those expectations aren't met, resentment creeps in. Over time, this resentment can fester, creating a bitter aftertaste to our acts of kindness. This resentment is not towards the people we are kind to, but towards our own selves for neglecting our needs. In this way, kindness can foster resentment. Eighth, and finally, kindness can create a risk of dependence. An overly kind individual can inadvertently become the crutch others lean on, causing a ripple effect of dependency. This dependency is not limited to physical support, but it extends to emotional and psychological realms as well. It's like a well-meaning gardener who waters a plant too much, preventing the plant's roots from growing deep and strong. This over-nurturing can undermine the independence and self-reliance of the people on the receiving end of the kindness. They may start to rely heavily on the kind individual for emotional support, decision-making, and even their self-worth. Over time, these individuals may struggle to stand on their own feet, to make decisions without external input, or to validate their own worth.
The narcissist thrives on emotional reactions, seeking to manipulate and provoke. However, indifference is a powerful shield. It's about maintaining an unaffected calm in the storm of their provocations. Understand this, indifference is not about apathy or neglect. It's a conscious choice to not let external events disturb your inner tranquility. It's about recognizing the emptiness of their attempts to control and manipulate. Indifference, in this case, is not ignorance, but wisdom. Seventhly, practice empathy. As Stoics, we often forget that understanding others is a virtue too. Think about the narcissist's perspective. Why do they behave this way? Often it's rooted in insecurity or past trauma. By empathizing, we don't condone their actions, but we work to understand their motives. This understanding can reduce conflict, making interactions more manageable. Remember, we're all products of our past experiences. Empathy is not just about feeling for others, but with them. Empathy is the bridge to understanding. Eighthly, use silence as a tool. When faced with the manipulative tactics of a narcissist, the power of silence becomes evident. Rather than feeding their need for conflict, silence can be your response. It's a display of strength, of your refusal to be drawn into their game. By choosing not to engage, you demonstrate control over your reactions. It's an act of stoic defiance that can disrupt their pattern of control. Silence can be your fortress, your shield. Silence is the ultimate weapon of power. Lastly, practice forgiveness. While it may seem counterintuitive, forgiving a narcissist is not about absolving them of their actions. Instead, it's about freeing yourself from the emotional chains they've wrapped around you. It's about acknowledging the hurt, but choosing to let go. It's about taking back control of your emotional well-being. Remember, forgiveness is not a gift to the wrongdoer, but a gift to yourself. It's a step towards inner peace. Forgiveness is the key to your freedom. So, how does a Stoic deal with a narcissist? It's a question we've sought to answer today by exploring 9 Stoic strategies that can help shift the dynamics of the interaction. Let's quickly revisit these principles. First, we talked about maintaining composure. Regardless of the narcissist's actions or words, the Stoic remains calm, poised, and composed. not allowing their inner peace to be disturbed. Next, we discussed the importance of practicing detachment. The Stoic understands that they need not be affected by the narcissist's behavior, instead choosing to observe without emotional involvement. The third principle was knowing oneself. The Stoic recognizes their own worth and does not need validation from the narcissist or anyone else. They are secure in their self-knowledge and self-acceptance. Our fourth principle, acceptance, is about acknowledging the reality of the narcissist's behavior without trying to change it. The Stoic accepts people as they are, understanding that they can only control their own actions and reactions.